Hey, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. Michael Zinn, and I am glad you are here. I'm glad I am here. This is my happy place, as we know. Um, it is Thursday night. It is time to have an amazing conversation. What's up, Ninja Kitty? It's good to see you out there. I am feeling pretty good right now, which is amazing because the last 2 days I've been a little under the weather. I started getting a little bit of a runny nose yesterday, and I was working from home today. I went in to the studio and I was miserable there. I was just feeling a sore throat and runny. I was like, oh, how am I going to do this? But I'm vibed up, man. This show always gets me cranked and ready to go. So, what's up, Jilly? Good to see you always. Um, so yeah, I wanted to just for a moment before I got started. Uh, I have experienced a lot of gratitude in the last 24 hours myself. Gratitude for a lot of things that are happening. I just got word I'm going to be working on some video for the band Adam and the Metal Hawks that you guys know I've done some work with. So I'm excited about that. This show itself has me really pumped because I'm starting to see some people who have been inspired by the show. One of the guests I've got coming up was inspired by the show, and he's just messaging me with so much gratitude to come on to the show. And really, it's like I have gratitude when people say yes to come on to the show because it just gives me the power to create a conversation and put out these vibes to the internet and have people watch. So there you go. You guys are part of that equation. So it's awesome. Um, Tonight, my guest is actually an old friend of mine. I may have spoken of the story where I got into this whole broadcasting thing, and I was doing broadcasts for other people. And the Holistic Center for Soulful Living was a place where I met our guest. His name's Rob Koenig. I'll bring him on in just a second. But it was during COVID, they were having a bit of a hard time not doing live events. That was what it was all about. It was a place where you gathered to meditate and to do all these amazing things. So we put together some live streams, and we had some good guests. We had what's her name, Laura. Oh, I forgot her last name. Laura Lynn. She's amazing. Psychic medium, and we raised money and we helped the center get through. And Rob was a big part of that. I remember he was so nervous. He was like going to interview Laura, and we set up the camera, and he was amazing on camera. And he's just an amazing guy. He does something called Reconnective Healing. We're going to learn all about. So I'm excited because it's awesome to learn new things and hear all of this stuff. So what is up? How are you doing? Lexi, how are you doing? Welcome to the live stream of conscious. Thank you for coming here, the live stream of consciousness. And here he is, Rob Koenig. Welcome to the live stream. How are you doing, my friend?
I am doing awesome, Michael. Thank you for having me. This is so much fun being here with you.
Oh, awesome. See, we didn't even do anything yet, and already you're having fun.
I'm having fun. You kidding me? This is
That's
live stream
awesome.
consciousness.
That's awesome. Oh, we've got Howard out there saying not seeing or hearing video. Um, Let me take a look at the YouTube channel. That would be very interesting to hear that we're not. Hold on, bear with me, guys, for 1 second. I need to open up a new window. Oh, Lexi is saying I can hear fine. So, I can't tell Howard that he's got to raise his volume because he can't hear me. Raise your volume. Raise your volume. uh, well, I'm sure he's seeing the text that other people can hear us. So hopefully he gets that worked out, and he can hear us. And we got some other people out there. Welcome. Oh, I'm so happy you brought some folks to my table. Thank you so much. See, that's what I was just saying to you. Like, people agree to be on the show, and they're telling me how grateful they are, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. Thank you for coming to my table and breaking bread with me, virtual bread, and having a conversation. So I'm really glad you're here. Um, I told you, you asked me a little bit about how the show goes, and I told you that it's all about you. It's a place for you to talk about what you're doing and what you do, and the light that you bring to the world. But you do got to answer a couple of questions first. And the first question that I ask every guest, and it's such a great question because we get such amazing answers every single time, and that is, what is consciousness? What is consciousness?
Ah, that's a juicy one. It always is a juicy one. For me, if I had to put it in a nutshell, I would say that consciousness is that eternal stream of awareness that exists beyond our 4D human experience. It's that thread that ties us into this eternal existence.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
what we tap into when we allow ourselves to really be aware that we exist beyond this form.
mhm,
And that's the beauty of consciousness, because it's formless, it's eternal, it's
mhm, mhm,
accessible to all of us, and it connects everything and everyone. So that's
mhm,
what it's about for me.
mhm,
And the
mhm,
fact that we're having a live stream of consciousness is, this is just like bringing to the forefront, bringing to the surface our ability to tap into an awareness, a collective awareness.
mhm,
People are
mhm,
joining us, they're joining this conversation,
mhm,
and we're
mhm.
all kind of flowing into the stream together.
I
And
love it.
we're accessing levels of awareness that sometimes we're not even aware that we have access to. And
Mhm, mhm,
but
mhm,
just by scratching the surface, going a little bit deeper than what's on the top, we get
mhm.
to really excavate the
Mhm.
really juicy aspects of living. And so
Mhm.
it's the best way I can put it, Michael. It's
It's amazing, amazing way to put it. You said a couple of things that are interesting that I want to hit on. First, you immediately jump to our 4D existence.
Mm.
So I want to hear how we immediately jump to that, because I mean I feel like this is three-dimensional. What are you referring to there when you say our 4D existence?
So think about our human experience as being bound by space and time.
Mhm,
Those are the parameters that
mhm,
really govern our everyday experience, our normal everyday experience. So what are those
mhm,
four dimensions? Well, space has three dimensions: height, width, and depth,
mhm.
and time is the fourth dimension.
Perfect. Okay. I
So,
just wanted to.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Within that bubble, that's what we normally relate to on a day-to-day basis, but we
Right.
exist beyond it.
Totally. No, and I'm with you on that. I do feel like we refer to it a lot as a 3D existence because of space. We're in space, but time is that fourth dimension. I just wanted to make sure that's what you were kind of
Absolutely.
getting
Yeah.
at, and I'm on that page for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, yeah, I love that answer. Oh, the other thing you said that I really like that I don't think I've heard specifically, although again, it's been said in other words, is
Mhm.
formless.
Mm.
Because for me consciousness is energy, and energy is kind of formless too. And I love that you said we all have access to it, because kind of as we are bound to this human existence, the consciousness is something that is kind of outside of that, and like something that we have access to. It's kind of powering our bodies and our vehicles.
Yes. Yes, and can I add that while we have access to it, I don't want us to think of it in terms of something outside of ourselves, because
Mhm, mhm,
we are that
mhm,
consciousness.
mhm, mhm,
And to me, accessing it is just a remembering, or as I
mhm.
like to put it, a reconnecting to
Right.
the essence of who we are, which
Right.
is eternal consciousness.
Right. So so, and I'm with you on that 1,000,000%. So the word accessing is being used as more as like connecting to it within
Yes.
yourself, not
Yes.
accessing it outside of yourself. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's absolutely understood 1,000,000%. Awesome, awesome. So we start this journey on the same page. I love that. But now we get a little bit into your journey, and not necessarily what you're doing now, which is gonna be your stage in just a minute. I can't wait to hear all about it. But my question is, so you do what you do, which is reconnective healing, which is considered healing, considered light work, considered energy work. Um so I think that's something that there's a large part of the population that doesn't really get. That they haven't experienced it, or they're not really sure what it even means. But you obviously do, and you found a calling in it, and I love it, and I can't wait to show your website. You're doing such cool things. I'll let you talk about what you're doing. But my question, Mike, before that is my question, and that is, I'd love to know if there was a specific moment that you can talk about, or maybe it was just something you were born with, that you realized things weren't exactly what you've been told, or maybe you've been told from the beginning that they were. I don't know.
I love that question too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an evolution of moments, I will say. But there definitely was a transition for me from where I was and where I am today. And often when I tell my story, maybe maybe your audience will relate to this on some level if it's familiar. But it's so funny, Michael, that I'm here on this podcast with you. We're talking about consciousness and healing, and
Mhm.
you go back 11, 12 years ago, I wouldn't be caught dead in a conversation like that. I just want you to really understand that. It, it
Oh, I
makes
do.
it makes me laugh sometimes when I see what I've devoted my life to, because I was that guy that if someone said, "Hey, live stream of consciousness is on tonight, you want to," I would have been like, "No, thank you." No.
I
So
totally get it. I
so
totally get it.
I was this guy. I mean, I always love to give the Harry Potter analogy. I know a lot of people are familiar with the Harry Potter series, but
Yeah.
in the Harry Potter world, you got the Muggles who are living this ordinary life where they're not even aware that just beyond the veil is this magical world of wizards and witchcraft and all this just amazing universe. And I relate to this transition. Like, I was that muggle going through life that was just like blinders on. And I was really tied to, again, my 4D existence. I was like, I'm really kind of content, or I thought I was, in
Right,
my
right.
time space bubble. And then I have to be honest, I got to the point where I kind of crossed the threshold where I entered my 40s. And I often describe it as my midlife existential crisis, where I was just
Okay.
like, there's got to be more. There's got to be more to life than what I've experienced. And I began feeling really stuck and really stagnant. And I began seeking answers for those big questions. Why am I here? What is life supposed to be about? And it started me on this kind of rabbit hole quest where I started, for the first time in my life, becoming curious about spirituality, becoming curious about metaphysics, the unseen world of energy. I mean, all these concepts, all these ideas, I was just finally curious about them. And so I started devouring information. I was reading books that I never would have read before. I was watching videos, and I was becoming more and more excited about these concepts. But the one thing that was still holding me back was I was learning about these kind of mystical, magical aspects of the universe, but I felt like I was looking at it from the outside. I felt like, okay, so that exists out there. There are people that are having these mystical experiences. But then I looked at myself and said, but I'm the ordinary guy in the room.
Right,
Like,
right.
and so for me, I so yearned to discover, what am I capable of? What can I access? Because I
Right.
see that there are people out there that are tapping into something, but it just wasn't my experience. And
Mhm.
so this brings me to that point, that tipping point that
Yeah.
you were asking about. And that is, as I was reading and reading more and more information, eventually, as I was taking recommendations on, did you read this book? Did you read that book?
Right.
Eventually, someone recommended a book to me, The Reconnection, Heal Others, Heal Yourself by Dr. Eric Pearl. And that's the story of the birth of reconnective healing. And what I was so intrigued about this story was that here is this chiropractor, very successful chiropractor in Dr. Eric Pearl, who describes autobiographically his experience of going from thinking that he was an ordinary, run-of-the-mill chiropractor,
Right.
to all of a sudden having these really these incredible healing experiences with his clients when he just held his hands near them. And
Right.
and it takes him on a journey of exploration and discovery to try to find out what he tapped into. And at the end of his revelation and his discovery, he learns that he had tapped into a fundamental truth about who we are, that we all possess within us an incredible, amazing connection to one another. And when we tap into that stream, that we can become a very powerful catalyst for healing in our own lives, and we can be that for others. And he made this claim that anybody can do this. Anybody can tap into these really amazing healing gifts. And that's all I needed to hear. I was like, okay, I'm skeptical, but I'm going to challenge your assertion there. And I decided that I was going to go and do his training and see what it was all about. And that is the moment that you just asked me about. When I
Mhm,
went,
mhm, mhm.
when I got on a plane, flew to Toronto, Canada, because I was the nearest program that he was going to have near closest to New York in my home. I
Right,
said, I just have to go and check this out.
right.
And Michael, I was blown away because I saw
Yeah.
things that I never thought that I was going to observe in my human life. I saw
Mhm,
people responding to each other non-physically in
mhm,
a way that was so transformative. I was
mhm.
observing and witnessing what I was capable of doing for the very first time. And
Amazing.
all of a sudden, this concept of we're all one, we're all connected, it stopped being kind of a abstract, metaphysical, spiritual concept, and it became real. And
Right,
all of a sudden, I just like a light went off, and I said,
right.
"This is something that I want to shout it from the rooftops. I want people to know
Totally.
that
Yeah.
you are capable of extraordinary things."
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's kind of awesome. That's awesome. Lexi says, "Great share," and it definitely is. And I think that's you said a couple of things there that I want to hit on too. And
Please.
for you, it seems like you're like, okay, if everyone can do this, I want to know what it is I can do. And for me, my journey was connecting to all of these amazing people like yourself and Christopher Allen and psychic mediums and Akashic records and all of these different modalities, resonating with them 1,000%, not necessarily experiencing those things the way those people do, but not feeling the need to, you know what I mean? Like, okay. And I think for me, this is kind of manifesting right here, the live stream of consciousness. I feel like that's kind of maybe part of my journey and connecting with people, having always I wasn't always like that. I kind of was a bit antisocial. I had this mindset that 95% of the people that you meet out there are clueless and they have no idea. And I'm not saying that is or isn't true, but I did realize that just saying that and thinking that, that's what I was getting. And understanding the power of energy and the power of thought. So I want to just uh I want to give you the stage, but before I do, I want to hear what you think of this, because this is my example, and again, kind of, I feel like my path in helping spread that exact same message that you're talking about, um to let people understand, like, it's hard to understand what you can do, right? And to see it and to feel it and to put it all into context. What is it going to feel like? You have all these expectations, right?
Hmm.
Most of us, I was going to say we've all most of us have been to a football game or a concert. When you go to a concert, you feel it, and it's not just your own excitement that you feel. What you're feeling there is everybody's intention to be there, what their intention is to be there for, to enjoy the music or to enjoy the sport game, to connect, essentially, right? They're there to connect with that intention to connect. You feel it, it's palpable. I mean, that is the biggest thing on the live stream of consciousness. Everybody knows we talk about here is energy is everything, right? The energy exchange that you have,
Amen, brother.
and being aware of that energy exchange makes makes for a happy life, right? If you're aware of that and you're aware of what your role is in every energy exchange, you have a
Yeah.
lot more control. And listen, life is life, things happen, and sometimes you don't always know how to respond in the right energy, you know what I mean? So that's part of the human journey, right? But I like to explain the idea of energy and how you know that everybody can feel it with that analogy. Does that feel right to you?
Yeah, on many levels. And let me just go back and say that your contribution by being a forum for the sharing of information and awareness,
Mhm,
that's a powerful contribution that you are making. And I think we're all here to kind of, discover ways that we can contribute to the evolution of humanity. I believe that there is on
mhm.
some level we're all contributing to an expansion that's taking place in the universe. And
Yep.
and what you're doing by creating a forum for people to share ideas and to introduce new concepts and awareness,
Mhm.
that's huge.
Yeah.
And whether you decide that I'm going to explore, my own healing capacity, my intuitive abilities, whatever it is that any
Right.
individual person decides to explore, follow that instinct within you that leads you
Right.
down that path. But
Exactly.
your path has so beautifully led you
Yeah.
to being in this space.
Right.
And this is not, I mean, I know live stream of consciousness is just one facet of Michael Zinn. And I know that you're involved in so many projects where
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
getting people, lit up over, so many exciting, whether it's, supporting music events
Right.
and or any of the, the YouTube channels that you're supporting and your beautiful photography. I mean, I
Right.
know there's a lot of ways that you contribute to the universe, Michael Zinn. Let me just
Yeah.
say that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
But going to your concept of like the football game, for example, absolutely. When we come together in with others with a like-minded consciousness, we tap in and we feel that, and we know that there is power when we resonate with each other, on whatever level it is. It could be going to a sporting event. It could be listening to a piece of music, even sitting with people, observing a piece of artwork together, and having that collected shared experience.
Yeah.
So here's one of the concepts I'd like to introduce as just for food for thought. You
Okay.
talked about intention.
Yeah.
Intention can be powerful, but I'm going to introduce you to a slight derivation of that word, and to talk about the power of attention.
Okay.
Now, here's the difference. Intention usually implies a particular outcome, right? If you have like, I intend to manifest something, I intend to bring this about.
Right.
What happens when we allow ourselves to soften the lens of intention, broaden it, and just use the power of our attention? Where do we want to
Love
bring
that.
our attention? That actually opens the doors wider than we ever imagined, because intention is kind of a focalized,
Right.
attention.
Sure. I
Whereas,
never thought of that. Yeah.
but just saying, you know what, I'm going to show up and I'm going to allow my attention to be my guide. Where am I led? Where am I guided to? That's a very powerful experience. And that actually does lead me into a little bit of the reconnective healing experience, if you want me to go there.
Yeah, let's go there. I'm going to say this though. You again, little pokes from the universe. You just said a phrase. You said just show up, and that's something that we've been talking about here too. And that's like, nothing is going to happen in anyone's life unless they show up, and that's really all you got to do. Just show up as you, and the magic will happen. So I just wanted to say you hit that one on the head as well. So yeah, tell us, what is reconnective healing? Like, give us the definition first, and then tell us your journey and
so
let's go.
yeah, thank you. So there are so many facets to reconnective healing. It's not just like we talked about, moving beyond the 4D and moving into kind of a more of a multidimensional awareness. Reconnective healing almost can't be defined in a box, but I'm going to start broad and then we're going to expand. Okay. So reconnective healing at its essence, if you boiled it down, I would say it's a holistic, energetic approach for healing that helps us return to balance on all levels of who we are: our physical vitality, our mental health, our emotional well-being, even our spiritual awareness. It's about coming back into balance, achieving new levels of harmony by connecting to our this field that is not only energy, but it consists of vibrations of light, and we can talk about that, and information, which is consciousness. So it's really it's a doorway through which we can access greater levels of harmony and balance in our lives. So so let me start there as a framework, but then let's dive a little bit deeper, because whenever we mention the word healing, healing has so many different definitions and connotations, and it conjures up certain ideas in people's minds. But I want to really go to a very specific kind of root definition of the word healing. The word healing actually derives from the word wholeness. So you can think of it this way: to be in a state of healing, or to heal, is to return to your wholeness. Okay. And think about wholeness as being in a state of balance and harmony, right? You're whole. There's nothing missing. There's no lack. There's no limitations. You're whole. So when we think about reconnective healing, right in the definition, we're talking about reconnecting to our inherent wholeness. And It is, of course, an energetic approach. It's non-physical. It's not a laying of the hands on the body. It's an interaction, an energetic interaction that we can palpably experience, every single one of us. And maybe if we have time, we can actually play a little bit and see what that's
Awesome. Oh, that would be amazing.
So,
Wow. Ooh, I just got chills.
okay, well, there it has begun.
Yeah.
Those chills are part of the experience. So,
Nice,
but-
nice.
so let me just say, let's bring it back to the conversation about attention. So here's what makes reconnective healing, in my eyes, so incredibly unique in the context that we normally attribute to energy healing. Whether it's energy healing or even Western medicine, when it comes to healing practices, there's often this concept of trying to locate what is wrong and trying to fix it, right? When people think of healing, they think of fixing a problem. Like,
Yep.
I'm going to heal your anxiety. I'm a psychologist, I think, in those terms. Or I'm going to heal your chronic neck pain. There's this concept in healing and even energy healing where I'm going to try to identify what's wrong so that I can send energy to that space and maybe alleviate that. So let's think about a very brand new definition of healing and say, what if we didn't bring our attention to what is wrong, what's lacking, what's limiting about your human experience, but instead we said, what would happen if our attention was placed on your wholeness, the essence of harmony and balance that already exists in that eternal conscious existence that is your truth? Because you mentioned Laura Lynn Jackson, right? We had the pleasure of having her spotlighted back in the a couple of years ago with that interview. Laura Lynn Jackson and many other psychic mediums will tell you that when they connect to those on the other side who have finished their current physical experience on Earth, what do you always hear psychic mediums tell people about what their experience is after they transition? How many challenges and hardships are they facing on the other side?
Yeah.
None. They have reemerged into the essence of who they are, that pure consciousness of just harmony, love, balance. What if we remembered that we don't become that after we transition to non-physical? We are already that now.
Wow. Rob, I love this so much. And I remember hearing you talk about what you do in reconnective healing at one point and being like, oh man, I got to talk to Rob because he's
here you are. You manifested it.
Tapped into something. Yeah, he's tapped into something. This is so beautiful and resonates 1,000,000%. And I feel like I probably on some level practice it already.
Many people are resonating with this concept because I believe it's a fundamental truth that there's a knowingness within us that knows that that's the essence of our existence, that we're not broken, we don't need to be fixed. We need to remember that we're already whole, we're enough as we are. And if we reconnect to that, man, healing just is the byproduct of that.
Totally. And you just made it a little easier for me because I have so many friends that are healers and I could not put my finger on it why I didn't like. It was definitely related to what you're saying. It was like when people, especially when healers say like, well, you're broken and I can fix you, that kind of thing. Like that energy of, I guess, you like the words of it and the connotation of what the word healing is. So when you said, let's start to put a new definition on healing and everything you just said, all of those words were so energetic and I felt them definitely. And actually also as you were speaking, I'm realizing like I've automatically started like focusing on my breath. Like I'm almost like meditating as I'm listening to you do your thing. So let's keep going because
we'll keep going. And Michael, I'm so glad that you're bringing awareness to what you're experiencing right now, because I want you to recognize that when you bring just your simple attention right now, you are donating your attention to this conversation. By you putting your conversation on just the concept and awareness alone of this truth, healing is happening. So that's what you're experiencing, and that's the beauty of it. It's really that simple. It's really that simple, but it's profound. So let's get back to one other facet that is going to turn things upside down in the energy healing conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How many times do you hear people, and listen, let me be very clear before I go any further. There are many approaches to healing, whether it's Reiki, Qigong. I honor all of them because we all know that people have healing experiences from so many different modalities. And I encourage people to continue to explore whatever form of healing that they have brought into their life. And if they're having beautiful experiences, continue doing what you're doing. What I'm trying to introduce to you and your listeners is perhaps an expansion to your already conscious awareness of what you are accessing, and for you just to contemplate what this would mean if you brought this into your awareness. So let me take this.
Awesome.
Let me take this concept. In energy healing practices, traditional, practices that have been practiced for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years, you often hear healers talk about sending energy. You'll say, I'm going to, and it's a beautiful concept, right? I'm going to send energy to someone in the healing. Even if they're right in the room with me, I'm going to send energy. I'm going to become a conduit, and I'm going to bring that energy and send it to them. So here's where I want to challenge your awareness about this concept.
Okay.
We all talk in spiritual terms about oneness, right? That we're all connected. And I think there's not a lot of people in the spiritual healing community that are going to say, I have a hard time with the concept that we're all one and we're all connected. We all kind of embrace that. But here's the thing. When I send anything to you, what do I have to have as a foundation to my awareness? If I'm sending something to you, there is an immediate separation, because that means that it's here with me and it's not there with you, and then it's going to get to you. So in order to send something to you, I have to first acknowledge that there is a gap that I have to bridge. Because Michael, if I wanted you to have a letter that I wrote, if I wrote that letter and you don't have it, it's not until you hold it in your hands that you now have it. We can't say we both have it if I'm going to be sending it to you. The same thing goes with this consciousness of sending energy. So what if, instead of looking at it as a sending of a healing, what if we said, let's begin with the foundation of a conscious awareness that we're already connected. I don't have to send anything to you because there's no bridge to gap.
Right.
And instead, what if we allowed ourselves to step into an awareness that once we bring our attention to the fact that we're already in the receiving of our connections to everything and everyone, and we bring our awareness to that receiving, and then simply hold someone in our attention while in that state, what we're actually doing is acknowledging and allowing both of us in this equation to be in the
and look at how good you are at it. You're doing it right now. I'm feeling it. Like, it's so amazing, Rob. We were talking earlier about the conversation I had with Lori Ladd, and I actually felt activated during that conversation. I've never used that word before, and here I am, like, I want to use that word again, because as you're describing the act of it, you're doing it. You're being it, and allowing me and hopefully some of the audience out there to remember it. And again, as you were saying it, I didn't even need you to finish, because I understood what you were saying. I was like, oh, you're not sending it, you're just activating it within me. You're just saying, hey, boom, activate it. And you're just suggesting it, really.
And here's the thing, and this is the amazing part of it, is that it's not the power of suggestion, because suggestion, almost implies that I have to introduce you to this concept. This is an essential aspect of who you are. And when I step into this awareness that you and I are connected, and we share in this experience, there is an immediate recognition that takes place within you without me telling you. I didn't at any point say to you, Michael, I want you to imagine that you and I are connected. Yeah. I want you to bring it into your attention, bring it into your awareness that you and I are. It just happens naturally, because as I begin to experience myself as being connected to everything and everyone, that includes you, and my attention is on you right now, Michael. So and my attention is also on you who are watching this broadcast. And if you allow yourself just to be in that experience, you'll start to notice something happening within you. And isn't it amazing that I haven't done anything? I haven't, I mean, now that's not to say in reconnective healing, we do play with an awareness. We use our hands. Our hands don't become a vehicle for sending energy. Our hands become another aspect of our interaction within the field. So when I bring my hands in and I'm working with someone in a reconnective healing session, and by the way, we do sessions in person where someone comes in, lies on a massage table, and they have the experience. But we also do it remotely, so you can do it at a distance, where somebody is at home and we just set up an appointment, and there we are in the experience together. Right now, you and I, Michael, are miles and miles away from each other. You're having an experience not because of our proximity, and so here's the thing. So why are we using our hands? Because I see it like this. When I step into, if I go down to the beach and I walk and I wade into the ocean and I go all the way into the waters, like maybe this high, chest level, and I put my hands underneath the surface of the water. What do we naturally do when we put our hands in the water? Ever notice you just naturally start to kind of feel the current? You might just move your hands, let your hands just become buoyant and just float on the surface and then drop them down. It's kind of it's an interaction. It's an experience. You're experiencing the ocean. So when I'm facilitating reconnective healing, and as many people do around the world, this is often what we do. We'll take our hands and kind of dip into this field and just say, what am I noticing? What am I experiencing? And someone from the outside might say, oh, he's sending energy to the person on the table. No, I'm experiencing them all around me. I'm experiencing the interaction. And by placing my attention there, that's when I call it the magic takes place, because all of a sudden, just naturally, instinctively, that awareness arises. And if we can hold an awareness and attention to observing someone as an extension of ourselves and recognizing that they're perfect. They don't need any fixing. I'm looking at them, I'm holding them in my awareness as they have everything they need. There's an intelligence within that individual that's part of the intelligence of the field that knows exactly what is appropriate on their healing journey in this moment. And if I step out of the equation of trying to be the one to kind of funnel it, figure it out, I now open the door wide for whatever intelligent consciousness is flowing through and to that person, so they can receive exactly what they need.
Right.
So it's very liberating.
And there's no like I don't say bias, influence. There's no influence. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, Rob, this is so fascinating, and I'm not even like kidding. Like I totally felt myself like go into a little bit of a meditative state there, and I was listening to what you were saying, and it was making sense. I mean, I've certainly been in situations where I'm talking to an intuitive leader who is giving a workshop or something, and the words feel like that. They feel like they're hitting my brain, and little seeds are germinating, and there's definitely an energetic exchange happening there. You know what I mean? So, hey, look who's here. It's Alyssa. What's up, Alyssa?
Hey, Alyssa. So do you want to just play a little bit and just...
I thought we were already playing.
Oh, we are. Don't mistake it. But so I just want to introduce your audience to just some very simple introductory exercises to begin to explore our connection.
Let me do this first before I forget, because I always end up doing this the last like 2 minutes as I'm exiting the show, and that is, boom, if you are feeling energy like I am and you want to know more and talk to Rob, his website will be going across the bottom of the screen for the remainder of this fun that we're having. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, absolutely. And listen, and there's a lot of information on that website. There's a ton of information for you to kind of dive in and explore, and certainly reach out to me directly if you want to explore this, further. But okay, so when we, it's funny. It's like this conundrum, because people say, well, I'm interested in learning the techniques that you use. And I say, there's no technique. And they're like, wait. How are you teaching me how to do this if there's no technique? There's got to be some technique. There's no technique. But then I start to show people different exercises, and like, so there's the technique. It's not a technique. It's an exploration. We actually, in the training process of learning how to fully access this in your life, we actually go through a series of different exercises where we begin to play with expanded levels of consciousness. And we do this in a variety of ways. And I'm going to show you just a beginning, rudimentary kind of introduction to it.
Cool.
But it then continues to expand, and eventually you just throw out everything that I showed you and you just play and explore on your own without following anything that someone showed you how to do. It's just the beauty of the freedom of this. But anyway, so here's what we're going to do. I want you, if you're watching this, and Michael, you can join along.
Yep.
Let's start by just holding our hands out in front of us with our palms facing one another. Okay? Before we do anything, hold your hands nice and wide open. So your fingers aren't closed. They're nice and wide and open. And I want you just to place your attention on the space between your hands. So before we do anything, bring your attention there and just check in. What are you noticing? Are you noticing any subtle vibration, any subtle sensations in your fingertips and the palms of your hand? Know that the space in between your hands is absolutely not space at all. It is it's a full spectrum of frequencies and vibrations. And you're just putting your hands into that mix and just tuning into what's there. And now let's just take a quiet moment just to pay attention. And whether you notice a lot or notice a little, it's fine. Just give yourself a moment. Okay. Now what I want you to do is imagine, let's see, which one should we do today? Let's imagine a rubber band connecting from the center of each palm. So now your hands are connected by an elastic band, and I want you to begin to stretch that band. And use your imagination to feel the tension as you stretch that band. Stretch it out further. So your palms are still facing each other, and you're stretching that band. And then allow the tension to release and bring your hands back in a little bit closer. And then pull again and stretch. What are you noticing? Are you noticing? Can you allow yourself, can you begin to experience the feeling of that tension as if there's actually a band there? Beautiful. Okay, so just play a little bit like that just for a few moments. You're exploring levels of awareness, levels of connection. And now what I want you to do is bring your hands back to a still space right in front of you, palms facing palm. And I want you to take, let's have our left hand stay nice and still. And with our right hand, let's begin to move make in small circular motions facing that other hand. And let's see if we can actually begin to observe any sensation of movement in the hand that's still. As you move one hand in small circular movements, what are you noticing in the other hand? Are you beginning to observe any particular type of sensation? Are you starting to cultivate an awareness of movement, perhaps temperature, anything at all as you do that? Now put your hands down at your side for a moment. Just rest your hands, shake them out. And let's do something fun. I want you to hold up your hand facing the screen. Okay? With my virtual background, my hands going in and out. It's nothing metaphorical, it's just technology. So I want you to hold your hand there, and I want you to bring your attention into your hand. And I'm going to put my hand down, but I want you to keep your hand up. I'm going to bring my other hand in, and let's see if okay, doesn't matter. I'm going to start to move in a small circular motion. And I want you just to pay attention to what you're noticing in your hand. I'm just simply observing and interacting within this field. And so if you're at home, I hope you're doing this too. Keep your hand nice and still and just bring your attention. Michael, since you're the only person that I can interact with right now in the moment, describe to me anything that's showing up for you.
I'm going to say it's not specifically motion or a temperature. It's a presence.
Can you
It,
describe that?
uh, it's just a knowing, a feeling that it's almost like uh, connected, connected.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So put your hand down, rest your hand. So when we begin to explore these new levels of awareness, there is an expansion that immediately starts to take place. And it started from the beginning of this conversation, as you pointed out. And there are many ways to interact with it. There's many ways to engage, and it just continues to lead us to more expansive levels of awareness that and this is the critical piece here. Reconnective healing is not just an energy healing practice. It's not just about, well, I'm going to work with someone to facilitate healing. It becomes a level of awareness that becomes part of your experience of your everyday life.
Mhm.
And that's the gift that reconnective healing has been for me. It's that it not only gave me the opportunity to share this with other people,
Mhm.
in a professional sense, because I developed a practice and I started sharing it professionally. But I recognized, as countless people all over the globe now have recognized, that reconnective healing is allowing us to just expand our awareness and our consciousness, so that when we walk through our everyday life, we start to perceive the world around us with a new set of eyes. We
Mhm.
start to recognize that our attention is powerful. Giving our attention to someone and just holding them in as the focus of our attention has the power to heal, has the power to transcend. And that is the best gift that I think anyone can give themselves, is to give themselves an opportunity for personal evolution that actually also transforms humanity.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it sounds big, but it is big. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so
That's amazing, and I can't thank you enough for actually doing that live with me. Yeah, I mean, I certainly, when I was doing it myself, I felt the presence of my own hand within my other hand, and then when
mhm,
I was doing it with you, again, it was just a presence. It was just it was that connection that you're talking about. That connection of thought and energy, aren't necessarily confined to the 3D plane. You know what I mean?
correct.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that.
and here's the best part of it is that any type of interaction like this that you have, it's not confined by the parameters of the interaction. Meaning, once you start to stimulate that type of awareness within you, and I'm not talking about a mental process, I'm talking
Right,
about just that knowingness that you described.
right,
It starts to grow within you. It stays with you.
absolutely.
When we're done with this conversation and we all sign off and we go about our evenings,
Yeah.
start to pay attention, because it continues to grow within you. You start to
Mhm.
notice more and more awareness. And so for me in my life, like I said, it started with wanting to experience my own transformation,
Mhm.
going from that place of being stuck and stagnant and wanting to see what else is there.
Mhm.
And then it expanded into, I would love to share this with other
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and then it evolved to where it is now in my life, and that is,
Yeah.
I want to empower people to bring this into their own lives, so that they're not looking necessarily just, well, where can I find a practitioner to work with? That's beautiful. And I encourage people to set up, find someone to facilitate a session of reconnective healing. That's
Yeah.
great. But I want people to wake up to the awareness that
Yeah.
they are extraordinary beyond their imagination. And that was, that's the big shift for me, is that wanting to be a part of that catalytic experience where people have this broad awareness and this shift in
Yeah.
their consciousness, and it just transforms every aspect of their life. And so
Right.
that's why I got involved in teaching, because
I can't imagine what that feels like to what you're everything you're describing, to be able to and see someone walk away with just like jumping for joy and being like, holy crap. Because I think in general, and I don't like the term the spiritual journey, but in general, people who are starting to become more aware, like you said, it's almost like once you start to accept or understand certain things, you can't go back, right? You're
You
like,
cannot
no,
go back.
this is the way it is. And like you said, it constantly grows. The more and more, you just start to become more and more aware because you've set yourself on that path, already. And that's, that's what's happening. And again, I can't imagine how you must feel doing what you do, and I could
It's
certainly see
amazing.
it. And Lexi is saying you're getting so excited talking about it, and you are,
I always do, because this
yeah, yeah,
this is my passion, obviously.
yeah, and I think it's speaking very clearly to me because for me, again, I've never been like, well, I want to try to be a psychic medium, or I want to be this, or I want to be that, but I always did know that just my demeanor and who I am had a nice effect on people. You know what I mean? Just like that simple, right? But
Yeah.
but you're kind of inspiring me because I feel like if I could just do this right here, kind of, which is what you were just doing. You were just talking. You, like you said, you didn't start with, okay, I want you to imagine this, or I want you to imagine that. You said things that I've heard so many times, but somehow when you said it, it came through. You've been able to tap into your own energy, and whether it's intentionally or not, what I feel like is happening is you're putting consciousness into the words. So as you're speaking them, that consciousness is activating again, these words that I don't usually use. It's to be able to activate someone in a conversation and then see the change that you made in the world, Rob. That must be, God bless you. That's
It
amazing.
Well, listen, and this is the thing, and this is why I revel in these opportunities to have these conversations and to get out there and tell people about it, because every one of you watching this holds within you the capacity to be that catalyst for transformation. In fact, we do a weekend training. It's
Mhm,
actually a weekend. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. We call it the Catalyst Weekend
mhm,
because of the impact in our personal transformation, and because we become catalysts
mhm,
for transformation by just being a part of it. You mentioned going to a football game and having that experience of everybody and feeling that experience of collectively of coming together.
mhm,
I'm telling you that these weekends, when I did my initial training a decade ago, it
mhm,
was that experience of being together in that weekend and
mhm.
witnessing what was transforming within me and around me. That's what changed everything. And
Right,
that's where my focus is these days. I
right,
I want to create an opportunity for people to come experience this so they can take this with them in their lives.
right.
And if I may, Michael, can I tell everybody when the next time they can do that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna actually, I think it's right here, but go ahead and talk about it.
So there it is. So the very next stop on our trip around the country in the U.S. is Virginia Beach on, as you can see, November 12th and 13th. You notice that there's another picture of there. That's Dr. Eric Pearl and his partner, his partner Jillian Fleer.
Cool.
Dr. Pearl, of course, is the founder of Reconnective Healing. He's the one that started this ball rolling. And I know,
Oh,
Michael, you
wow.
got to meet Dr. Pearl when he came to the Holistic
Yeah,
Center.
yeah.
And Jillian Fleer is the head of insight and development for the Reconnection organization. That's Dr. Pearl's organization, and they're going to be joining me for the weekend as my guests.
Wow.
So they're going to
How
get a
cool is
chance to.
that?
It's very cool, right? And so I'm just telling you, if any of this resonates with you, and you'd like to really discover what you are capable of, if you and you want it quickly, you want it like a direct path to healing and to transformation. That's
Mhm,
the beauty of this. This is not something that you're going to sign up and say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to study this for the next couple of months. And
mhm.
this is so powerfully organic and natural to who we are that just spending a weekend exploring and playing in this awareness
Mhm.
changes you forever.
I'm
And
in. I'm
yeah.
in.
So I hope I want to see you with me in Virginia Beach.
Oh, I
Um,
wish.
so, so let me tell you something. So there's actually one step on the way to Virginia Beach, and it's something that you can actually do this evening if you chose. We used to do long extended weekends where we really created, it was like a 4.5 day experience where we laid a lot of foundation of like the history, the philosophy, some of the scientific research that's been done around reconnective healing, which is mind blowing. And we used to spend a lot of time in the first few days creating that foundation before we really dove in and explored. So
Right.
what we've done now is we've created an online introductory course. It's called the Portal because it's your
Gotcha.
entry into this new
Cool.
awareness. And the portal it's about 8 hours plus of material that
Oh,
you can
wow.
do at your own pace in your comfort of your own home. It's taught by Dr. Eric Pearl and Jillian Fleer,
Okay.
and you own it, and you get to
Wonderful.
explore and really dive in deep. And then that's the only prerequisite that we say, take this, experience it, and then come join us for the weekend. And then we just blow the roof off, and we have it
Wow.
as an amazing party
That's
of
awesome. And is that
expansion.
available on your site, that portal?
Yeah. So if you go to my actually Michael, my email is rob at rob-koenig.com. If you are interested, there's two things. One is I'm happy to give you all the first hour of that course for free, if you would like. So if you want to email me and say, yeah, I'd really like to kind of get started, I'd like to check it out, just email me,
Okay.
and I will send you the link to get started and to kind of dive in.
Okay.
But
Cool.
if you go to my website, if you click on the Virginia Beach link, you're going to notice that there is something called the One Experience. That's the combination of the portal and the Catalyst weekend. So you see it says the One Experience right there. So
Yep.
yep. So that link, when you click on that link, it'll take you to the registration page, and you're going to see that it includes the online portal experience and the Catalyst. If
Gotcha.
it, I suggest people who are really looking forward to kind of diving in. It's also, cost effective, because if you do both programs together, it's a little bit cheaper than doing them separately. But if you want to take your time and do one at a time, then you could simply go to thereconnection.com. That's Dr. Pearl's website, and
Okay.
you can click on their online offerings, and you'll see the portal listed there.
Cool.
Again, if anybody reaches out to me directly, I can set them up with all of that as
Cool. Yeah,
well.
I added the Rob at the bottom there, so
Perfect.
people are seeing your
Perfect.
email address now. So I just have really one question. I'm just kind of thinking about, what can I extend this conversation with? I'm wondering, do you feel like you how do I word this question? I feel like anybody who's kind of on any sort of spiritual journey would respond immediately. But do you feel like there are people who don't respond, like people who are kind of like still those muggles that you were talking about?
Yeah. Listen, I'm so glad you asked this question. And I want to describe two groups of people that typically show up to these training experiences. One is the group that I had previously been associated with, which is someone coming from a perspective of, I've never really kind of dabbled in deep spiritual inquiry, metaphysics, healing, and those people have incredible expansive experiences, as I
Wow,
did,
that's
going
awesome.
from like nothing. I don't care if you have had no background, no previous experience, you've never even dabbled in any of
Right.
this, you're going to have a pretty wild experience going
Okay.
from that to where you will be at the end of the weekend.
Right.
But then there's another group of people that have equally expansive experiences. And that's the group of folks that have been on their spiritual paths for a long time. They might be healing practitioners, and they are drawn to reconnective healing because something inside of them is saying, I feel like there's more. I feel like that I've kind of done what I've done. And I feel like, and I don't, when I say this, I don't mean that they're looking for just yet another healing practice to include. I'm talking about people that, how, Michael, you had said that even though you haven't been a healing practitioner, you said that there was this aspect of like treating what's wrong and fixing things that doesn't resonate with you.
Right.
I know so many people that come to reconnective healing, or reconnective healing calls to them, I should say,
Right.
because they've been a healing practitioner, and there's something within them that's saying, I feel like I don't need to necessarily rely on the techniques anymore. I don't need to. I feel like I'm gravitating away from following the steps and the rituals, and I know that there's something bigger. There's something more expansive. Those people find themselves at a reconnective healing training program as well,
Right.
and both groups have these really amazing transformative experiences, and side by side, you have the
That's
people,
amazing. That's
you have
awesome.
the bus drivers and stay-at-home moms and school teachers and
Right.
doctors, and they're all in the same room, and they're having these experiences. And I'm going to tell
That's
you,
amazing.
there isn't a group, Michael. There isn't a group that just they walk out and they say, well, I tried. it's a phenomenon, and I can't,
Awesome.
yeah, I just can't explain it better than
That's
that. It's
so cool
just,
to hear. That's so cool to hear. I'm glad I asked that question. I feel
yeah.
like it's like, oh, I just came with my friend. She's into this hippie shit, or whatever. It's like, and then
I love the drag-alongs. I
yeah,
love the
that's
drag-alongs.
amazing. That's so awesome. That must be so fulfilling. I can imagine, and it really explains why you are such a happy, loving guy, because you're in your flow. You found the thing that makes you, and I'm happy that I found you, and that we're friends, and that you came on the show and you did this with me, because I had an amazing time. I think you're amazing. I definitely am gonna. Hopefully we could talk. I don't have to email you, but if you're out there watching and you're looking for that the first hour of this portal, I'm gonna do it. So uh, and also I'll talk to you offline. But I think I want to definitely set up a barter or something with you, and work with you, because I do resonate with this reconnective healing, and I do
Let's
feel like,
explore.
yeah, I totally do. So awesome. Well, that was it. Well, you made it through the hour. You did amazing. I would probably love to have you back and tell us more.
Anytime. Anytime.
Maybe you got a book in you, something that's going to come out, and
People keep telling me that.
yeah, listen, I think one of the cool things about me and my role here in all of this is not only what you said about giving a platform for all of these kind of different modalities and everything, but I think I've intentionally put myself on the path to meet that person who's going to say the thing to me that's going to be like bing 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 bing. And all along the way, there's always been, I think every person I talk to, lights up a little light inside my brain and inside my heart, and that's why I do this. And so thank you so much for being here. Let me put you in the back room. Don't go away. I want to talk to you, and I just want to say goodbye to the group that's here. So again, thank you. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye, Rob. I said goodbye and I brought him back. There we go. Amazing, right? I this show, I cannot tell you, every time I do it, I'm just like, what just happened? That was amazing. And literally, if you were watching, thank you for having this platform. Thank you for being here. I wouldn't have this platform if you weren't here. So that's cool, and I see you resonating too. That's amazing. And Jill also was saying thank you to Rob. I didn't get to put that up before, for offering the portal. So thank you, Rob, for offering that here on the live stream of consciousness, almost like a live stream of consciousness deal. So for my viewers, that makes me feel special. But anyway, I have some good people coming up on my show. I'm super excited. I've been reaching out to some people. Next week I've got Jacob Cooper, who's somebody I've been working with. He had a near-death experience, wrote a book about it. He's a medium. All sorts of things you'll find out next week. I've got my friend Clarity coming, who is such a phenomenal human being. He's basically a poet, and it's like, when you see him and you hear him, you'll be like, wow, I never really knew what a poet was, but that guy is a poet. And that's what he is. He's just a beautiful, beautiful soul. And then I've got this guy called J.E. Battles Strong coming on the show, who also is just, we've just been sending gratitude back and forth to each other. I was telling you about the gratitude. He's so grateful that he's coming on my show, and I'm just so grateful that he's coming on my show. It's like, it's amazing. So I thank you all for being here. Once again, I will see you guys next week here on the live stream of consciousness. Peace.